Hello, welcome to What the Flick. It's just me and Alonzo to talk about the killing of a sacred deer, the latest from Greek director Yorgos Lanthimos, who brought us the incredibly fucked up Lobster and Dogtooth, which we both loved.
And Alps.
Yes, so this is the latest from his twisted brain. Tell us what it's about.
So it stars Colin Farrell returning from The Lobster and Nicole Kidman. They're a married couple, they're both doctors. They have a lovely house in a lovely suburb and 2 adorable children. And that's all I'm going to tell you, because I didn't even know that going in, and this is really best enjoyed with as blank a slate as possible. Take a look.
Cause we got the fire, and we're burning one hell of a something. They're gonna see us from outer space.
Yeah, I'm really sorry about Bod.
It's nothing serious.
No, it is.
Like we're the stars of the human race. Human race.
Where did you 2 go?
When the lights started out, they don't know what they heard. Strike the match, play it loud, giving love to the world.
How did his father die?
We'll be raising
A surgeon never kills a patient. An anesthesiologist can kill a patient, but a surgeon never can.
How are we going to talk about this movie?
Well,
besides telling people to go see it.
Yeah,
it's good.
I know, it's great. It is, I will say this, it is a movie that very uncomfortably puts the screws to you, but in a good way. And in the way that The Lobster was sort of increasingly tense, but always had kind of a bleak comedy undercurrent to it. There's no comedy in this one.
This is a horror movie.
This is a horror movie.
Yeah.
This is a horror movie.
This is a home invasion horror movie, I would say.
Yeah. About a sort of a family under siege, about guilt and regret and possibly making things worse in an attempt to make them better. Yeah, I don't know how to talk about this.
Well, it's very much in keeping with his other films in some ways, in that it's nihilistic, right? It's about like, even if you try and do the right thing and you try to help somebody,
right,
it's not gonna be enough, quite possibly, and you might just end up being screwed anyway.
True.
Right? Although the end of The Lobster, to me, I felt romantic, like slightly unexpectedly romantic, given everything that comes before it. This just feels bleak, and no matter what happens, you're screwed. And
but one of the great endings in recent memory.
It's a great chilling ending, and the whole thing is very much in keeping with his tone, right? And so perhaps it does not reach into abject absurdity the way The Lobster does. This is a recognizable realm in which we live. It's it's now, it's here, it's in the US, it's now, and it was shot in Cincinnati, I want to say,
yes.
And so it's the heartland, is absolutely the heartland, but there's still a detached and kind of stilted way to the way the people relate to each other and talk to each other. They will say things matter-of-factly that are shocking,
yes,
or inappropriate, the way we often say, Efthymius Philippou, who also wrote The Lobster with Yorgos Lanthimos, also co-wrote this. So it's very much of a piece with their other films they've written. So I guess at its core, they're all about people struggling to connect to each other, struggling to find their own humanity by finding it in others. This is not as strange as The Lobster. I don't love this the way I love The Lobster, but I was gripped by it the whole time.
I think it also, like Alps, it's about people trying to deal with loss and going to extreme measures to figure out how to cope with loss, in ways that seem to sort of defy logic and humanity. This was one of the more visceral viewing experiences I've had this year, just in terms of, like I said, I went in not really knowing what it was about, and just the sort of, as the pieces start falling into place, you're just like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, that's a real standout for me. I feel like so many movies, they've got that 3-act structure, and you know where the beats are going to come, and you have some sense of like, oh well, this may seem bad for our hero now, but and this one doesn't give you any of that sort of relief.
No, I'm looking up, unless you remember it, the name of the teenager.
Oh God, I forget.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
Yeah, he's amazing.
But one thing that occurred to me as I was watching it, this really feels like Yorgos Lanthimos' Kubrick film. In the way it's shot.
The spareness of it,
Spareness, but also like long tracking shots down hallways, the symmetry to his framing. You've got the way that lighting seems to come from the walls. Like there's a lot of use of like lamps that make it look like the entire wall is illuminated to create a sense of claustrophobia within the house. You got Nicole Kidman in her Eyes Wide Shut hairdo.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, so
I hadn't thought about that.
She's got like it's in a ponytail at all times with like the little ringlets coming down. So it felt like, and it's a horror movie, and it felt like a Kubrick film.
And she and Farrell totally get the tone here and totally get how to convey what these screenwriters and director are trying to do here, and it's a great fit.
Barry Keoghan, how do you pronounce that?
I think it's Keoghan.
Anyway, he was in Dunkirk.
Yeah.
So he's the teenager in it. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, and Colin Farrell clearly is already on his wavelength, having been in The Lobster. And it's a great Colin Farrell performance. In the last couple of years, in the last several years, we've seen again the daring kind of choices he made with his career at the beginning. You know, there was that period in like the late 90s, early 2000s where he did a bunch of really forgettable action movies.
Yeah, SWAT and Phone Booth or whatever.
Yeah, and now he's back to, you know, weird and small, and it's fun to see that.
No, he's been doing that for a while now, like, you know, In Bruges and Ondine. If you haven't seen Ondine, holy crap, it's a Neil Jordan movie. He's so great in it. But
and The Beguiled earlier this year, he's great in that.
So yeah, he's making really interesting choices. I have super beard envy, I have to say. His facial hair game is next level.
Well, if you didn't have a mic you had to clip onto your shirt once a week or twice a week, maybe you could also get
it's not even the length, it's the thick, it's the volume. You know, I can't approach that.
We need to like hire a beard fluffer. Who can be your beard fluffer?
No comments. Anyway, this movie is extraordinary. You really need to see it, and see it before anybody tells you anything about it.
Yeah, I'm saying 8.
9.
Right.
I love this.
8.5 for us. This is 79% on the tomato meter.
I don't know if it's like a Halloween scary movie, but it's totally a horror movie.
Bye.